Ash from Super Videos back for another comic book video. This is going to be my review for issue 167 of The Walking Dead, which was called A Certain Doom. So obviously, spoiler alert, there are major spoilers in this review and a lot of things happened in this issue that I want to discuss. So a major spoiler warning for those of you who have not read the issue yet. So we made our speculations, we predicted, and as much as I didn't want it to happen, and I'm pretty sure nobody else did, it happened. It was a very sad and powerful moment in the story. It was a big moment. It was extremely sad and extremely powerful. And yeah, let's just get right into the discussion. We have Andrea's death in this issue, obviously, which was a pretty big deal. Like I said, we predicted that it might happen, it might not happen, and as we saw, it happened. And yeah, we gotta see how things shape up after such a big loss in the story, and for Rick particularly. So just to recap and give my thoughts on all of the parts of the issue picks up exactly where we left off last issue, where Andrea came to Rick. She said she was bitten, and obviously Rick accidentally killed Sherry. So we actually pick up exactly from there. We have Rick grabbing Andrea, saying, "Somebody help." Some very amazing artwork in this issue. This was one of them, with the image of Rick saying, "Somebody help me." It was just very cool to see. Very sad, very powerful, but very cool to see. Then we have Dwight showing up. He found Sherry's dead, and he kind of asks what happened there, and obviously Rick explains that it was an accident. Now, we don't know what happens with Dwight. We don't really see him after this. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if he actually forgave Rick or not. It's going to be very interesting, and it's probably something that they're going to come back to in the next issue. Maybe not exactly the next one, but next couple issues. But they left it open right now, because the face Dwight is giving, it's not a face of "I forgive you." It's a face of "I'm going to get you for this." You know what I mean? Especially that particular panel that I have zoomed in right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but obviously Michonne and Rick take Andrea away, and Dwight is left to deal with Sherry himself. And as we learn later on, he gets the other saviors to help bury or take Sherry out and clean the place. We still don't know what happens with the saviors. We got a subtle hint about it. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, we have Rick and Andrea talking. It's a very powerful discussion. Andrea talks about how they're the ones that live, and making fun of what she said, because obviously she's not going to live. But we have this powerful moment because Rick is saying that he can't live after Andrea dies, and that he's done without her. And Andrea keeps reminding him that you can move forward, you can carry on. You've made it this far and you can move forward. And people like you are the people that this new world needs, because you've made something that's very special for people, and you are a leader that people can count on. And that was very powerful to me. Obviously, we have Carl showing up. He is trying to keep it together, but obviously he is quite sad as well. We have the discussion between them. We have Carl saying "mommy" and everything. So it's very sad, very powerful. But I loved how they handled this situation with, Carl showing up, and the discussion between Andrea and Carl, given that Andrea is not Carl's biological mom, but just the chemistry between them and how much they care about each other is just beyond words to me. Because to be able to build something like this, to write characters like this, and for us to actually feel how much they love each other, it's just very powerful. Both Carl and Rick, obviously. And then we have Andrea telling Rick to go out because she doesn't want to see him cry in her last moments, in her deathbed and everything. So Rick leaves, and then we have a discussion between him and Michonne. Again, a very powerful scene between Michonne and Rick, because Rick again says, "I'm broken, I can't live on," and things like that. But Michonne says, "Pull yourself together," giving him hope that they can carry on, and reminding Rick what he told her after she kind of went crazy a little bit and she wanted to find herself. So again, a very powerful scene between those two characters. We can obviously see that they're very friendly, they're very close, so that was very cool to see. We have Eugene showing up. He's crying and everything because obviously he thinks that it's his fault that Andrea has been bitten and everything. Rick does what a leader needs to do, telling him that it wasn't your fault, trying to give him hope, trying to make him see that it's not on him and everything. So that was very cool to see. Then we have this one page where we have these different panels where everyone is just walking into the room, and it's like the panel is from Andrea's point of view. Obviously you can kind of see her head in there, but it looks like it's like a POV shot because we have everyone showing up from the door, saying their goodbyes and talking to her for the last time. We have Siddiq, we have Jesus, we have Lydia, we have Carl, we have Heath, we have Magna, we have everyone there. We have Michonne obviously and Rick, and it's just very powerful. There's even one particular panel where Negan is there saying his goodbyes, which is very weird and ironic, but he's saying his goodbyes. He says, "They weren't going to let me see you. You were a badass and you were hot as F. I'd have been honored for you to be the one to kill me." So it just shows that even Negan is getting emotional, and it's kind of sad for him as well. So it's very cool that this has become so big, because obviously one death is kind of reuniting everyone and even uniting everyone, because the saviors are there, Negan is there. So it's like she is getting them to see how pointless everything is and how life is short, especially in this world, and that they can all die any second. So then we have, Rick talking to Andrea after everyone's left. I can't begin to tell you how sad it was to read this and how powerful it was. But we have some more amazing artwork of Andrea and Rick. Andrea saying her last piece and kind of telling Rick what's on her mind and giving Rick the hope that he can carry on. And then once Rick realizes that there's probably not much time left and that Andrea is probably going to turn soon, he goes to grab the gun and, he tries to kill Andrea with the pistol, but he just can't get himself to do it. And, he's too late. Andrea turns into a walker, which was, again, very cool to see visually, because we are seeing one of the big characters, one of our favorites, turn into a walker. So it's pretty cool, but it's very sad at the same time. So it's very cool to see. Obviously, Rick still can't get himself to kill her, even though she is a walker now, but he's obviously able to get himself to stab Andrea in the head and basically get her out of her misery. Obviously, she doesn't feel anything, and then we have another amazing artwork with Rick just sobbing and Andrea on the ground with the knife on her body, and it's soaked in blood. So it's a very powerful scene. Then we have Rick going outside. Everyone's just waiting for him, and they're just standing there. There's smoke in the back, so obviously Alexandria is still not safe, but everyone's just standing there waiting for Rick to, bring the news that she's died, because everyone's expecting it at that point. But I love that they have these small little boxes where it's like things Andrea told Rick. It's not Rick giving a speech or anything. It's just things that are on Rick's mind. So it's like very cool to see, because he just walks through the crowd and then we have these boxes, and then it's like Rick is thinking about everything that Andrea has said and putting his thoughts together and trying to overcome this moment in his life and try to find something to live for again. So that's very cool. And then you have all of the survivors that are there putting their arms on the shoulder of the person in front of them, and it all leads to Rick. So it's like they are stronger together. They can build and become stronger together. And it's very interesting because even the saviors seem to be there. So it's going to be interesting to see if everything is okay now or not. Dwight is not there, so that's something else we can speculate on. But it looks like some of the saviors may be there. So it's like even the saviors are emotional, and it looks like they're even joining in and trying to become stronger by joining Alexandria again and forgetting about attacking and everything. And then obviously we have the issue ending with Rick saying there's still so much to do. With that obviously being a cliffhanger, now it's going to be very interesting to see what happens going forward, whether this is going to change Rick. Obviously it's going to change Rick, but how is it going to change Rick? And obviously, how are they going to overcome this situation with the Whisperers, with the conflict with the Saviors, and obviously with Andrea's death? and it's going to be very interesting to see how things shape up after this major death. But in terms of a rating, I'm going to give this issue a high grade rating. It was a very powerful issue, even though there wasn't a lot of things going on and there wasn't a lot of story moving forward. The main part of the story was that Dwight found out that Sherry has been killed and that Rick killed her by accident, and some great character developments, but the major part was Andrea's death. So even though not a lot of things happened, I still enjoyed the issue. I thought it was very sad, very powerful, and it was one of those issues where I really enjoyed reading. So I kind of got some issue 100 vibes after I read this issue. Some of the same kind of emotions hit me after I read this issue and as I was reading the issue, and so it was a very cool and emotional issue. Now, Robert Kirkman actually put on a note at the end of the issue talking about this death. So I'm going to read it over and just kind of give my thoughts on what Robert Kirkman had to say about this death. So I'm quoting here. He says, I'm sorry to my fans and to myself and to Andrea. I feel like I killed a close friend. The deaths in this series are never taken lightly. They're never done with a sense of glee. They weigh on me the same way they weigh on you. These characters are very real to me, and their deaths are upsetting even to me. I plotted this issue out during a plane ride a few months ago. I plot my stories down with a pencil and paper, and there I was in my seat, blocking out scenes and writing dialogue notes, surrounded by strangers who probably thought I was jotting down a shopping list. As I was writing some of the moments from this issue, I started crying. I found myself glancing around, wiping my eyes, hoping no one would notice. I've been living with this death for months now, and I don't like it. I had plenty of time to change my mind. I had plenty of time to just not do it. I am in control of the story after all, but honestly, sometimes it feels like I'm not. This was one of those times. I don't like it. I don't want this. I want Andrea to live. I want to write more stories with her. I want to see her and Rick grow old together, watching Carl grow up and have kids of his own. I want that kind of happiness for these characters. And yet, here we are. Andrea is dead and the story moves on. I don't know why this had to happen, but I know it did. I know this is another important turning point in the life of the series. I know Andrea's death will mean something, that it will resonate in the stories moving forward for years to come. But I still don't like it. It still upsets me. I love Andrea and I will truly miss her. Robert Kirkman. So that was what Robert Kirkman had to say about it. Very emotional. Obviously these characters are very close to him. He can write these characters, but he becomes so attached to them even though they're not real characters and real people. But he becomes so close to them, even obviously the fans become so close to them that when they lose these characters, it's like a close family member or a close friend has just died or been taken away from them. So I definitely understand where Robert Kirkman is coming from and what these characters mean to him and how it hits him hard just like everybody else. Now, there's 2 points I want to mention here that give me confidence that there's going to be some great future and that this event is going to move the story and resonate throughout the stories to come and the issues to come. He says that it will resonate in the stories moving forward for years to come. So that indicates that he's planned things for years to come. So it's like he knows exactly what he's doing. He's writing things out. Even though he doesn't have to kill these characters, he does it because it moves the story forward and it makes a big difference in another character's development and story. So obviously right now, killing Andrea will change Rick, and it's going to be interesting to see how that changes Rick and for us to get a change for a bit as well and see things from a different side and from a different view, to have something different in the story. So it's like not all the same. It's not always everything's happy or that everything is sad. It's up and down, and things happen that make us fall for these characters and like these characters and even enjoy watching these characters even if we don't really like them. So it just shows how great the character development is and everything, but it gives me hope that this event is going to mean something to Rick and it's going to move Rick. So I'm very excited and interested to see what happens and how this moves Rick's story forward. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.